Let's begin standing at the end of your mat, feet hip width apart and parallel. Take an inhale and let your arms rise up to the ceiling. Exhale, circle around and down. Let's do that a few times. Breathing in as the arms reach up. Exhale as you circle around and down. 2 more like this. Breathing in. Breathing out. And again, breathing in. And breathing out. Arms are now by your sides. We'll take another inhale here. And on the exhale, let's have our first roll down. Bring your chin towards your chest and let your body roll down towards the floor. Bit by bit through your spine. It's okay to bend your knees a little bit. You don't have to go very far if it doesn't feel right. Let everything fall out the top of your head. And then from there, we're going to roll all the way back up to standing. And both arms are going to come up to the ceiling. And you're going to circle your arms around behind you, clasp your hands and pull back. We're going to hold this stretch just for a moment and take a few deep breaths. And then from there, into our second roll down, take a breath in to prepare. And then exhale, chin to chest, and roll yourself down. Trying to keep your pelvis upright for as long as you can. Then you'll get to the point where you just can't anymore and it has to tip. Sit bones wide at the back. A relaxed neck. Everything falls out the top of your head. Roll all the way back up to standing, tailbone under. Your head is the last thing to come up. Then our arms go back up to the ceiling. Grab onto your left wrist and lift it a little bit higher. We're going to add a side bend over. Back up to the center. Grab your right wrist, lift it a little bit higher, and another side bend over. Back to the center, circle around and down. And here's your last roll down. Inhale to prepare. Exhale as you roll down. On this one, we're going to stay down here a little bit longer and add some knee bends. So when you bend your knees, you tuck your tailbone under and then push into the ground with your feet and straighten your legs. Bend your knees and soften the shape. Push your feet and straighten the legs. Bend your knees and soften. Push your feet and lift the sit bones high. 2 more like this. Here's your last one. And from there, you'll just bend your knees and soften and come right down onto the mat into 4-point kneeling. Positioning yourself in the middle of the mat. Knees underneath your hips. Wrists underneath your shoulders. A cat stretch. So we're using our knees to push the back up into cat stretch. So I have to push into the ground to make the shape. So I use my knees to push my low back up and my hands to push my rib cage up. On the next cat stretch, hold the shape. And then we're going to increase the stretch by leaning it back a little bit into angry cat. So I tuck my tailbone under more. And I lean my body weight back towards my feet, but not all the way. Staying here, roll your pelvis back through into flat back, and then track your body weight forwards back to where you started. A cat stretch, an angry cat, a pelvic roll, and a return. It's 4 separate movements. Cat stretch, angry cat, pelvic roll, and return. We've got one more. Cat stretch, angry cat, pelvic roll, and then return. Now we're going to take one of our legs out behind us and then all the way around to the side and put the foot flat on the floor. Ease back and forth a few times just to loosen off your inner thigh. And then we'll add in that cat stretch, angry cat, a pelvic roll, and a return. Cat stretch, angry cat, roll the pelvis, and then return. And as you roll the pelvis, you'll probably feel the stretch go right down your inner thigh towards the inside of your knee. 2 more like this. Try to make it feel as flowing as possible. Okay, coming out of that by bringing the leg back in and underneath you, and then we do the other side. So we started off just by tracking back and forth. So there's no spine curvature here. It's just a flat back shape. We're just having a move to see what the inner thigh feels like. Now we add the cat stretch in. Cat stretch, angry cat, roll the pelvis, then return. Cat stretch, angry cat, flat back, and then return. 2 more. Cat stretch, angry cat, roll the pelvis, and return. Here's your last one. And then you're going to bring your leg around behind you, back underneath you. Bring yourself back into 4-point kneeling or thereabouts. And now we do thread the needle. So I'm going to take one of my hands quite far down the mat and take the other arm and reach across the mat. And then I'll bring it back and switch and go the other way. And let's do that switch a couple more times. And back to the center. And here's your last one. And then back into 4-point kneeling. Let's sit back into a shell stretch. So I'm going to widen my knees out so I can fit in the gap. And then coming out of that, you turn yourself around and shuffle yourself so that you're sat roughly in the middle of the mat. Feet flat, hands on the sides of your knees, sitting right up on your sit bones. And it is okay to have a bit of a fidget to find yourself in the shape. Okay, so from here, we're now going to pelvic tilt and only go as far as the length of your own arms. And then roll all the way back up to seated, all the way up. And then off you go again. So we're using the arms to give us a measure of how far we want to go. Rocking off the sit bones onto the back of the pelvis. And then rocking back onto the sit bones and all the way up to seated. Keep going. Each time now thinking about trying to go a little bit further than before. So we're going to let the arms slide up and down the sides of the legs. So we've got that initial marker of how far to go. And then as we roll the pelvis a little bit lower, the arms come with us and the hands slide down the outsides of the legs. And I'm going all the way to my shoulder blades and back up. Let's have two more. And on that last one, we're going to end up on the ground. And we're going to stay there. So from this one here, rolling all the way back. And we're down. Adjust yourself so that your head is on your mat. Can have a bit of a fidget. And then we're going to have our feet flat and our knees bent and our pelvis level. When you're ready, we'll begin with some knee floats. Just up to tabletop, and we're going to use our own hands to create a little bit of resistance to work against. So you're going to push into the leg as it approaches you so that you can feel your core having to pull your leg in. So as I bring my leg towards me, or as I lift it into tabletop, I'm trying to take the back edge of my pelvis, which I call the belt edge, where a belt might sit. And I try to take the belt edge to the ground and then pull my leg towards that anchor point. We've got a couple more, and then we're going to end up with both legs in tabletop. So this time the leg comes up, it stays there, and then the other leg is going to come up too, and maybe your arms will now go down onto the ground. We've got some toe taps. So we tap the leg down and pull it up, tap the leg down and pull it up. I don't mind how you breathe, as long as you do. So let's take a breath for each movement that suits you. So I'm going to breathe out as my leg drifts and breathe in as it comes back. And if that doesn't suit you, just do it the other way around. Let's have 2 more. Last one. And then you're going to take hold of your right leg, pull it towards you, and let your left one go all the way down to the floor. And grab onto the back of that leg and then try and straighten it to the ceiling. And to get my leg to go up to the ceiling, I push the back of my pelvis down into the ground. I've got 2 more, and then I'm going to leave my leg up. So here I am in that shape, and then I'm going to point and flex my foot and stretch the back of my leg. Okay, from here, we're going to do one leg circles, and you can either do this with a straight leg or a bent leg. I'll let you choose. We're going to take our arms to the floor. The leg goes across to the opposite hip. It circles around and it comes back up. The size of the circle is your choice. So big circles are harder. Small circles are easier. Straight legs are harder. Bent legs are easier. So pick the level that you want to work at. We've got 2 more, and then we're going to change direction. So on this one, going the other way. Two more. Last one. And then pull the knee into your chest. Place the foot down and slide it away. Let's do the other leg. So we start off with a stretch. Pull the knee to your shoulder. And then straighten it to the ceiling. Bend it back down. Two more, and then hold the leg up. So here we are. Up it goes and it stays there. And then you're going to point and flex your foot. Keeping the back of your pelvis heavy into the ground. Okay, circles when you're ready. So we've got big or small circles, bent or straight legs, and you make a choice. And here's the breath work. Inhale away, exhale up. Two, one. Change direction and go the other way. Same breath work. Inhale away, exhale up. Two more. And then pull your knee in for a little stretch. Let's bend both our knees and put our feet down and let both the knees drop to one side. Little spinal stretch. Back to the center and go the other way. Back to the center. Go the other way. And then back to the center and stay there. Bring your feet a little bit closer together. And then we're back up into tabletop. And now we're going to put hands on the back of the head and lift the head up. So we hold the head up by pushing the rib cage down. The lowest 4 ribs of the rib cage push down into the floor to lift the head. And we're going to go from this tabletop shape to one leg straightening and coming back down, and then the other leg straightening and coming back down. So we've got a single leg stretch. Pick a breath that works for you. So for me, I'm inhaling as my leg straightens, and then exhaling as I bring it back. Two more. And then both legs go up at the same time for a double leg stretch. And we're trying to find the lowest 4 ribs to push the head up. And the belt edge of the pelvis to push the legs up. Two more. Last one. And then we put our legs all the way back up and we hold them there. Not quite done just yet. Split the legs for a scissor and then split again. So it's a small scissor right above you with a bit of head support. Your lowest 4 ribs push your head up. The back of the pelvis pushes your legs straight. And 4. And 3. And 2. And 1. Both knees come in. Head comes down. Give yourself a hug. Take your feet to the ground. Let's do another spinal rock or a spinal twist. Both knees go to the same side. Back to the center. And then go the other way. And then all the way back to the center. Okay, you've got choices. You can either lean to the side and push yourself up to seated, or you can grab onto your legs and rock yourself up to seated. Either is fine. Then you're going to turn yourself and sit in a wide-legged stance for saw. All right. Both sit bones pressing down underneath you. Arms out to the sides. You're going to twist your body to one of your legs until it lines up. And then you're going to let your arms continue all the way until they also line up. Then bring your chin to your chest and fold forwards. All the way back up to seated. And switch sides. So we rotate the body until it lines up. And then we let the arms continue until they line up. And then we lean forwards. All the way back up and switch sides. Line up the body. Line up the arms. Fold forwards and push the opposite hip down into the ground. And then all the way back up. So we're now toing and froing from side to side. Here is the breath cue. We inhale as we change sides, and then we exhale as we reach and stretch. Inhale, change. Exhale, reach. Inhale, change. Exhale, reach. Last one. All the way back up. Arms come down, legs come together, and then you're going to bring your legs underneath you. Turn yourself around so that you're facing onto the mat, and then lower yourself down for swan. Hands to the sides of your shoulders. Pelvis pushing down into the floor. And then you're going to push down into the ground with the front of your pelvis to lift your low back bones up into the skin. And that will lift you a little bit off the floor and then lower all the way back down. Let's do that again. Pelvis pushes down, low back bones lift, the body starts to lift, and then you're going to lower all the way back down. It is okay to have your arms in a slightly different position if they want to be a bit wider or a bit further forwards. Just focusing on each repetition being a pelvis push into the ground that lifts your low back bones up into the skin. And hopefully, your head and shoulders will follow the guidance of your pelvis, and they will also lift up. When that starts to happen, you can have a look where you're going. So eyes might come out in front of you. And let's have two more like this. Last one. And then lower all the way back down. With your hands, push the ground and lift your hips up and back so that you can sit in a shell stretch and just release any tension that's got stuck. From here, turn yourself around onto your back. So you're sitting roughly in the middle of the mat. You're going to roll all the way down. And now we have a shoulder bridge, pushing down with your feet to lift your hips up. And then uncurling all the way back down again. Feet push into the ground to lift your hips up to the ceiling. Let's have two more. Last one. All the way back down. Bring your knees into your chest, give yourself a hug. And then send your legs long on the mat and turn yourself over onto your side. I'm going to use a long arm underneath me as a head pillow. It is okay to prop your head up with your hand or an actual pillow if you have one. Bend your knees so your feet get a little bit closer to you. And I've got a flat hand on the floor in front of me. So a nice long line, head, heart, hips, heels, and then we open and close the knees. So we're focusing on pushing into the ground to create lift on that top leg. So I have to push the side of my hip down and the palm of my hand down to send my knee up. Four. And 3, 2, and last one. And then your knee's going to come down. And using your hands, you're going to push yourself up. Take your legs around to the other side. And we're going to line up and do the other side. So we've got an arm down on the floor. Feels a bit like a pillow. Everything in a line. And the palm of your hand on the floor. Head, heart, hips, and heels. All in a line. Pushing the side of your hip into the ground to create lift. So if you want that top knee to go higher, you need more down press on the side of your pelvis. 4, 3, 2. Here's your last one. And then you'll bring your knees down, draw them up towards you, and then give the floor a push so that you can come up into the awkward seating position that is mermaid. Okay, so we've got our legs tucked around. Our hand goes around both ankles and hooks itself around the lowest one. Then we take one arm up to the ceiling and reach and side bend over those folded legs. Come back up. Take your hand down to the floor. Do a counter stretch the other way. Come back up. And side bend over. And all the way down. And all the way up. And all the way down. All the way back up to the center. Let your arm come down, and then we take the legs out in front. Bring the soles of the feet together. And inner thigh stretch. So it is okay to fidget about until you find something that feels okay for your pelvis and your legs. And then maybe a little bit of knee bouncing. And maybe a little bit of forward folding. And you might need to push yourself forward with one of your hands around behind you on the floor. So when I push into the ground like that, I'm trying to tip myself right up onto my sit bones. So rather than pushing my back forward, I'm pushing my pelvis upright. Let's do one more. And then take both legs out in front, give them a little shake and bring them around the other side. So we've got that awkward position, both legs on top of each other. The hand goes all the way around both of your ankles and grabs onto the lowest leg. A high reach that turns into a side bend. And then all the way down to the other side. Back up. Sense the side of your pelvis on the floor and push down on your pelvis to straighten your top arm. Couple more of these. And then here's your last one. And from this one, we just come back up to upright and then bring the arms down to the mat. Turn yourself around so that you're now ready to crawl the knees away and lean forward onto the hands into a half plank. So we've got a half plank and we're going to finish off with a couple of little push-ups. More than a couple. We've got 4 more. 4. Tension in your seat. 3. Lift your inner thighs. 2. Abdominals drawing in and up. Last one. All the way back onto your heels for a shell stretch. Curl your toes under to stretch out the soles of your feet. I'm going to hold the shape just for a moment. And then walk back towards your feet. Push your feet down, lift your sit bones up. I'm in a forward bend and then a roll all the way back up to standing. Head is the last thing to come up. Taking a minute to get rid of any dizziness. And then you're going to lean onto your toes, push down into the floor. Your heels will lift. Take your arms up to the ceiling. Hold the balance. Circle your arms around and down. Heels come back down. Shoulder roll. And a little arm shake to finish. Thank you for joining me this week. I shall see you next week for some more of the same. See you then. Bye.